Hello BookTube, hello friends, welcome to Lizziefaye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and it is time for Friday reads. It's actually Thursday night as I'm filming this, but I have a couple of books that I just finished recently that are due at the library, and Randy just got home from work and went to run, and when he gets back from running, I want to run myself to the library and return these. Even though the library will be closed by now, I want to get them in the slot because, as I've mentioned before, even though we're home, Emily is still bedbound, and when I'm here with her by myself, I really can't get her into the car because she's not walking yet. So anyway, that is my long explanation. But anyway, it's Thursday night, so not too much is going to change between now and tomorrow, and I know a lot of people film their Friday reads on Thursday anyway, so here we go. So we had the last day of the month on Monday, was it? And I did manage to finish everything that I had wanted to finish in my last weekend reads or current reads. I think I did it on Saturday or Sunday. I mentioned that I only had a couple days to the end of the month and I was still trying to finish 7 books. It was actually 6 books. I had hoped that I might have time to squeeze in one more audiobook, and had I not had to go somewhere on Sunday afternoon, I probably could have, but something, I can't even remember now what it was, but I had to be busy Sunday afternoon and I didn't get any reading done for several hours. But I did manage to get all the print reading done that I had started, and a couple of audiobooks in the last couple of days, and I am really excited about it. I finished off the month of September with 24 books, and so let me tell you what I have finished over the last few days. Since October has started, I have finished 2 books, well, 1 full-length book and 1 novella, so I'll tell you about those in a minute. But oh dear, this is not the one. I pulled the book. I was going to show you the misread book I finished, but this is the one I'm currently reading, and I just pulled my bookmark out. Anyway, I'll go ahead and, why don't I just go ahead and tell you my current reads? Why not? We'll just do things backwards. I am reading the second book in the Fair Acre series by Miss Reed called Village Diary. I really enjoyed the first one, and it should be sitting here somewhere. It is called Village School, and these are both wonderful books. They are from the perspective of Miss Reed, who is a country school teacher in a small village in England, and they're just delightful. They are written in the early 1900s, so they do have electricity, they do have cars. It's not quite as far back as like Little House on the Prairie, but it sort of still has that down home feel, that charm that you get from that type of situation. So the Village School I finished on the last day of the month, and it's written in chapters from the perspective of Miss Reed. But then this one is written as a diary. It is, she says in the very beginning that she's been gifted this diary from an old teacher friend of hers. And so these chapters are broken down by the month. So we have 12 chapters. Each one is a month of the year. So it's going to be her diary through the year. I'm trying to read 1 chapter or 1 month a day, and I read February today, I read January yesterday, and I will just continue to read a chapter per day until I finish it, and it's delightful. Then the other books that I finished Chronicles of a Radical Hag by Lorna Landvik. This is due at the library today, and I don't have time to film a whole video, so I'm going to go ahead and have to turn it in. I will try to pick it back up next week because I really do want to film a video just about this book. And then another one that I finished is The Little Teashop on Main by Jodi Thomas. This one takes place over quite a long period of time, like 30 years, and it's from a lot of different perspectives. And it's a lot different than most of her books. There, or at least the ones that I've read. I did enjoy it. I didn't love everything about it. It does get a little tear-jerky near the end, and that part was very sweet, but just, I don't know. I had a hard time really rooting for all of the characters. It just wasn't my favorite Jodi Thomas book, but I did enjoy it. And even though it doesn't say that it's part of a series, the a book that she came out with last year, which is called Mornings on Main. I'm almost positive that this takes place in the same town, and there are a couple of references to the characters in that book. So at some point, I'm sure she'll call it a series, but as of right now, they're definitely both standalone books. You can read either or and enjoy them. And the book she wrote last year, or that she published last year, Mornings on Main, I loved. So anyway, I love Jodi Thomas. She does a great job. There have just been a couple of her books that I haven't enjoyed as much as the majority of them. Then another book that I finished, yay, is Watermelon Days and Firefly Nights by Annette Smith. I brought up this book when I did my series on books with great titles. However, sadly, I don't think there was any references to watermelon or fireflies in this book, but it was still delightful. A lot of charm, much like the Miss Reed books, but just set in a more modern day. Some quirky, fun characters. It's set in the, what I think is the fictitious town of Ella Louise, Texas, and each chapter is just a different little short story or vignette about some characters or people that live in the town. And I thought it was delightful. It didn't blow me away, but I still really loved it. And then a book I wanted to love and I just didn't. I listened to it on audio. This is brand new from Susan Wiggs, The Oysterville Sewing Circle. This was not so much about sewing. In fact, the Oysterville Sewing Circle is actually a women's group for women who have survived or are trying to get out of domestic violence. And she gave it this name because, sort of as an ode to, she mentions a group in World War II that were some kind of sewing or knitting or quilting group, and they call themselves that so as not to call attention to themselves, and so they could operate secretly and hide the Jews from the Nazis. So it's kind of an ode to that, I think. However, the main character is a clothing designer, and she does sew and design clothing, so there is still an element of that woven all throughout the story, but it's about a lot more than just that. There were just so many things about the book I didn't like. First and foremost was the language. There was just too much foul language for my taste. Not as much as some books I've read. I mean, it wasn't completely excessive, but still way more than I like. I said in an earlier video, I really wanted this to be a book that you could recommend to your mother, you know, and I don't know about your mother, but my mother did not swear or say the F word or anything like that. So this is not a book that I would have been able to recommend to her. Now, my sister may be interested in reading it even so, because look at that. Look at the end papers. This is definitely a book that would draw you in if you are into sewing or quilting, for sure. But it is about much, much more than that. It is drama, a family drama, but also there are topics and themes of domestic abuse, drug abuse, and well, I don't know, just a lot of things. So anyway, I'm not going to tell you not to read it. I mean, definitely if it interests you, then you should read it. You will probably like it much more than I did. So anyway, that's just, you know, my own opinions about it. And then there was one other audiobook that I finished, but I don't have a picture of it or anything. I think I mentioned it in the last video that I did. It was called Emily and Einstein, and it was an Audible book about a man who had not really behaved very well, and he gets killed, and he is allowed to come back as a dog to try to make things better for his wife that he left behind. And it was a really sweet story, very cute, and I did enjoy it a lot. So that's what I've been reading. Now, what I have finished so far since the beginning of the month, my first book for my Stackmas challenge. This is my 0.5, the very tip of the Christmas tree, and I haven't even made a little visual to put on my chart yet. I will do that soon. But I only read one novella out of this book of 4 because it's book 8.5 in the Harmony series. It's called Midnight Bet. This particular book is called Ask Me Why, and it has several novellas from several different romance authors. I'm not going to read the others right now. I really just wanted to finish the Harmony series, and I did that. I enjoyed the story. Again, not everything about it, but for the most part, it was action-packed. She packed a lot of stuff in that one little short story. So I did enjoy it. I'm kind of sad to be done with the Harmony series now, but I can always read them again, listen to them again. And So I'm excited to check that series off my list. Then the other book that I finished, I don't have a visual for. It was book 2 in the Saturday Night Supper Club series by Carla Laureano. The first book I read earlier in the year, and it was, well, actually just, I guess, this summer, for the Summer Romance Book Bingo. And it's about the first book, called The Saturday Night Supper Club, is about a chef who gets displaced out of her restaurant. And then this book is about her friend who was her pastry chef, who left the restaurant when she did, and now they are thinking about starting their own restaurant. And the pastry chef, her name was Melanie, and this is her story and her love interest and everything. They are very lightly faith-based and very clean and just really good. I thought a very good book. The second book was called The Bittersweet Cafe, which is what they decide to name their restaurant. So anyway, if that sounds interesting to you, I would definitely recommend both of those books. The author, I will put the book titles and the author's name and spell it out for you in the description box below. So that's about it right now. I did film my Cat in the Stacks review video today, and I ran out of time on my camera, and I'm gonna have to start all over, and now I'm out of time for the day, and I wanted to get this one up on Friday morning, so I will get that done ASAP. And other than that, I have started reading Circle of Grace by Leslie Gould, book 3 in the Home to Heather Creek series, and I'm reading this to my daughter Emily. This has an Emily character, and I thought, she's bedbound, I may as well read to her. I'm gonna read it anyway. So I read the first chapter to her last night, and I don't know if she's listening, but it's a good, clean book, and why not? Why not read it to her? So that's all I have for this video. I will be back soon with another video. I hope you're reading a great book. Have a great day, and God bless you.